It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, Virat Kohli breaks his silence on the RCB Stampede while he finally did comment on the disaster that claimed lives and injured many. Is it time we, as sports fans, place more accountability on the sporting icons who carry far more responsibility when it comes to taking ownership during crisis? FIFA is trying to show they are going to win fans over by their ticketing scheme for the 2026 World Cup in USA. On the surface, it is being sold as a plan to get tickets for the best affordable prices, but is it so in reality? Is this going to blow up in their faces too after the fiasco, which was the Club World Cup? And could Jannik Sinner be the latest on the Drake curse? The Canadian-American superstar has placed a huge bet on Sinner clinching the US Open title. We decode the pattern of his bets and whether he has finally turned the corner and broken his jinx, possibly on a winning streak now. But first, the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with tennis, world number one Jannik Sinner has entered the semi-finals of the US Open. The Italian beat Lorenzo Musetti in straight sets. Meanwhile, former world number one Iga Swiatek has been knocked out of the event. The Pole lost to Amanda Anisimova 4-6, 3-6. After the loss, Swiatek got into a verbal argument with a journalist at the press conference. Meanwhile, over in doubles, India's Yuki Bambri continues his dream run at the US Open. He's reached his first ever Grand Slam semi-final. Bambri and his Aussie partner Michael Venus beat the pair of Rajiv Ram and Nikola Mektic 6-3, 6-7, 6-3. The two have last played together back in 2014. In F1, Bahrain's sovereign wealth fund, Moom Talakat and Abu Dhabi's CYVN Holdings have taken full ownership of McLaren Racing. The deal is reportedly valued at over $4 billion. McLaren Group has not given any financial details just yet. The group has confirmed the purchase of all its shares. News from cycling. Spanish cycling race ended without a winner. The 11th edition was disrupted by a pro-Palestine protest over the inclusion of an Israeli tech team. The race was halted due to safety concerns, with 10 kilometers still left. India's winning run at the Asia Cup came to an end. The men in blue were halted to a 2-all draw by South Korea and the Super Force. In a rain-affected game, India failed to dominate their lower-ranked opponents. They gave away the lead in the 12th minute, were trailing in the 14th, and only salvaged a draw in the 54th minute of the game. India are now banking on their remaining two matches for a place in the final. Silence can be deafening, especially when you want to be heard or when you want answers. And do you know when the silence is more disheartening? When it comes from the superstars that you've always idolized. India's biggest cricketing icon, Virat Kohli, finally broke his silence on the RCB Stampede. Now, while I'm certain it would have pained him to be a part of something that horrific, the question we have to ask is about the burden of silence, especially on the superstars of sport. How much does it weigh? While Kohli did respond, was he late? And the larger question, how does it impact fans and the public at large when your biggest sporting idols remain silent in pertinent matters? The RCB Stampede, in fact, was one of quite a few such occurrences in the country over the last year. The fact that it had happened for the first time in cricket was definitely a shocker for many. More so the people involved in this mayhem on both sides. So guaranteed it would have left many numb and speechless. But for how long really? Yes, it is difficult to fathom grief of this kind, of this magnitude, especially when the reason of the stampede that killed 11 and injured many was in fact you. That they all had gathered to see you lift that elusive trophy, one that had evaded Bengaluru for more than a decade. Kohli finally broke his silence, saying he was still hurting.
Nothing in life really prepares you for a heartbreak like June 4th. What should have been the happiest moment in our franchise's history turned into something tragic. I've been thinking of and praying for the families of those we lost. Your loss is a part of our story now. Together, we will move forward with care, respect, and responsibility.
Kohli is grieving, and that's understandable. But even so, we as humans place a larger sense of accountability and responsibility on the superstars, the so-called custodians of sport and ethics of the game. That's just the way it is, particularly when it comes to ownership. So silence can be difficult to accept. It happened last year when the Argentina football squad was caught in the eye of a storm. A racism row erupted with some of their players taunting France in a lewd, crass video that went viral. Yet nothing from the captain of the team himself, Lionel Messi, even if it was to admonish, considering he was not part of this. Fans criticized. There was a massive standoff that Argentina and France experienced, becoming a talking point at the Olympics last year. An act in football that created a rift between two countries. Opposition leaders reacted. Ministers were sacked for questioning Messi's silence. Yet the silence continues till today. Kohli at least responded. He was not directly responsible, but as the face and the soul of the franchise, he felt invested, and rightfully so. That's what you expect from the greatest stars you have grown up looking up to, idolizing. The biggest failing for such icons is when you cannot stand up for what is right. Take India's Olympic gold medalist Neeraj Chopra. He's one of the top athletes in the world today. He's loved and respected by millions across the globe. Whenever it comes to key issues around matters that concern the public understanding of any controversy, he's never shied away. However unpopular the opinion could be. He doesn't mince his words and is the first to speak up when it truly matters or when he's invested in it. Unabashed and unwavering. While I agree it isn't easy always, it's definitely something one can strive for. After all, it is about legacy. What you do as a superstar to leave a lasting impact on generations that follow is little about what you do on the field and a lot about what you leave behind off it. And here's where silence is definitely not golden. FIFA's American project rolls on with the Men's World Cup next year, and the governing body is leaving no stone unturned to attempting to get football right in the United States. The biggest lesson, learning from the embarrassment of the Club World Cup that was held earlier this year, where hype was huge, Messi was the poster boy, but stadiums still looked empty. The real culprit, outrageous ticket prices. Now with the World Cup, FIFA promises that won't be the case, at least not yet. FIFA has officially confirmed the two ends of ticket prices, but the important one, cheapest is $60, on paper a fair deal considering the global craze this tournament generates. But here's the fine print, dynamic pricing, a system where ticket prices rise and fall depending on demand. Already controversial, already criticized across the globe. So while FIFA claims it has learned from the past, are they still trying to play for both sides? Look back at the Club World Cup, it was a live experiment. The opening match, Inter Miami versus Al Ahly. Messi's presence was supposed to guarantee a sellout, no problems there. FIFA thought since Messi is there, they can charge just about anything. The cheapest tickets back in December for this opener, a staggering $350, which dropped to $250 later, then $150 closer to the event, and by match day, barely $55. FIFA had no choice, fans simply refused to buy. And it wasn't a one-off. from the semi-finals right to the final. Ticket prices crashed from nearly $500 all the way down to $13. An absolute disaster. So this time with the World Cup, FIFA is playing it differently. Yes, they've announced affordable entry-level tickets. Yes, they've capped the extremes with a defined maximum. But the middle ground, that's wide open. Because dynamic pricing means that $60 ticket is never guaranteed. Be early and you're fine. But if you're late, and you might be staring at $200 or more for the same seat. Now that system may sound logical in the American market, NBA, NFL, why even concerts in the US, they do this, they operate this way, so local fans are used to it. But the World Cup isn't just an American event, it's not an American tournament, it's a global tournament. And international fans don't play that game. They plan months in advance, they travel on fixed budgets, they come for the love of football. So they need certainty, not a lottery. Now, we've already seen a backlash to the dynamic pricing elsewhere. In Britain, fans raged when the Oasis Tour tickets used this very same model. Same with last season's FA Cup final. Supporters simply don't accept that the same seat can cost double at another time, depending on when you click buy. Because football isn't about speculation, it's about passion, loyalty, tradition. That's what drives it. And when FIFA applies Wall Street logic to the world's most loved and popular sport, it risks alienating the very people who make the game what it is today. Here's the irony. FIFA knows America hasn't caught up with the sport just yet. The Club World Cup proved so. Messi hype couldn't fill stadiums and it didn't really match all of it up. So this World Cup is crucial. A chance to hook Americans into football fever. But instead of keeping things simple, FIFA is once again testing fans' patience, trying to find that wiggle room here. Because let's be real, cheap tickets attract fans, sure, but constant price shifts, they frustrate them, and fans will remember. They'll remember if FIFA treated them as football lovers for the love of sport or as customers to squeeze every last dollar from them. So here's the big question. Will FIFA's ticketing strategy make the World Cup a full house spectacle? Or will dynamic pricing turn into a PR disaster just like the Club World Cup? Because football isn't a stock market. It's not about buy low, sell high. It's about fans who save big, who dream big, who travel across continents just to live the World Cup dream once in a lifetime. They don't want fluctuating numbers. They want assurances and they want access. And if FIFA forgets that, no matter how American their project turns out to be, they risk empty seats and broken trust. The World Cup should unite fans, not prize them out. And for FIFA, this could be the final test. Sail carefully or risk sinking both boats. The US Open has reached its business end. The top four remain in the men's, women's and doubles draws, and while the pressure on court is sky high, the betting world is buzzing off it, and one familiar name has stormed the headlines once again. Rapper Drake, the Canadian-American superstar, has dropped a massive $300,000 bet on Jannik Sinner to win the title. But here's the question, is Drake really on a winning streak here, or is the infamous Drake curse ready to strike again? Our next report breaks it all down.
World number one Jannik Sinner is locked in, chasing what could be his fifth Grand Slam crown. But beyond the court, for observers and fans rooting for Sinner, there's another opponent to dodge: the dreaded Drake curse. Because Drake has just placed 300 grand on the Italian to lift the US Open trophy. Now Sinner fans must be wondering, is this a blessing or the kiss of death? Because when it comes to sports betting, Drake's love affair has been as toxic as it gets. So toxic that it birthed a full-blown website, drakecurse.com, tracking his high-profile flops. And trust us, there's plenty to track. Out of 80 major bets, Drake has lost 50. Earlier this year alone, he admitted to blowing $8 million on failed gambles. His music career? Legendary. His betting record? A disaster. With a net worth hovering between $250 and $300 million, he could have been far richer, had it not been for his gambling itch. Because the curse? Oh, it's very real. He put down $300,000 on Canada to beat Argentina in the Copa America semi-final last year. Canada lost. He put 210 grand on Taylor Fritz to beat. Guess who? Jannik Sinner in the 2024 US Open final. Fritz lost. It became a pattern. Drake bets on one side, fans of the other start celebrating early. Drake backs Canadian teams, American athletes. Look, patriotism is fine. That's not how betting works though. You put your money on the fastest horse, not your favorite one. And because of those emotional calls, Drake is down $115,000 on tennis alone. But lately, something strange is happening. Drake is winning. He staked $684,000 on India to beat Pakistan in the 2024 T20 World Cup. India won. At the Australian Open, he bet on Sinner to win. Again, he was right. Then came his boldest gamble. $750,000 on Royal Challengers Bengaluru to win the IPL title. A team with 0 titles in history. Even die-hard RCB fans wouldn't risk that. But to everyone's shock, RCB finally lifted the trophy. And Drake walked away with a cool $1.1 million. So, maybe, the curse is lifting. Maybe Drake's bad luck is finally turning. And now, the million-dollar question. Where does Jannik Sinner fit in? Will he be the next victim of the Drake curse? Or will he be the proof that Drake has entered a new era? One where he actually wins. One thing's certain, when Drake bets, the world watches. And for Sinner, this isn't just about aces, rallies, and trophies. It's about whether he can conquer the curse that has humbled athletes across sports.
Time for last serve. After the horrors of the Dutch Grand Prix, Ferrari will eye redemption in Monza. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc have found inspiration too. The 2025 Italian Grand Prix marks 50 years to Niki Lauda's first title with Ferrari. And they all got together to pay tribute to that milestone. Take a look. That wraps it up here on First Sports. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.